Hi and welcome back to another video. So today's video is about building plans and why you need building plans for your project. But before getting into the video, I'd like to show you what our front fence looks like now. So that is it. We have had the front fence done, and then we've also installed the metal bars, and then also have had the gate installed. Aside from that, also we got some rocks which are known as boulders to create a barrier between the driveway as well as the section we are going to have as like a garden. And then we spread chippings. So before spreading the chippings, we had to spread DPM. So if you look there, you can see the DPM. We spread it all around this place, and then we went ahead to spread the chippings on top so that it creates the driveway we want, also to prevent weeds from growing in here. That's how come we spread the DPM, to avoid that. And we intend to have some grass and flowers growing around this section, but for now we are utilizing it by growing some maize, and once they are done we'll harvest it and probably maybe grow something else for the time being. And to this side we also have some plantain growing over here. This one is actually bearing its fruit, so very soon we'll have it harvested. And as a gift for the house, my wife decided to get us for the house this swing, where we sometimes use it as relaxation. Yeah, so this is what our house or our home looks like as of now. Yeah, the driveway, walkways. So there's a walkway which has also been done with the chippets. Let me just show you. And then it goes all the way to the back of the house. Yes. So, and interestingly, this chippings actually serves as a bit of security feature. Once you walk on it, it's easier for someone to hear that there's someone in the compound. Anyway, so let's get back into our video for today, which is building plans and why you need building plans for your project. So someone may ask, what at all is a building plan? So simply put, a building plan is just a document which contains information about whatever project or building project you intend to have done. So as part of these information will be the name of the client or whom the building is going to be constructed for, the name of the architect who worked on the plan, the location of the site or where the building is supposed to be constructed, the name or stamp of the regional architect who approved the plan or went through the plan before approving it, and also you have the unit of measurement that was used for the plan. So there are different units of measurement. There's a metric, and then there's also the imperial. So metric, you're looking at meters, millimeters, centimeters. The imperial, looking at inches and feet. Most architects will use metric, especially millimeters, sometimes centimeters, and even some will use meters for their drawings. And aside the unit of measurement, you also will have the scale. So there's 1 to 100, 1 to 1000, 1 to 10. So depending on what unit whoever is working on the plan uses, also will determine what scale they'll be using for the drawing. So all this information are contained in the building plan. Aside these basic information, there are lots more advanced or more features that we'll be talking about bit by bit in this video that are also contained in the building plan, which makes it easier to embark on a project. Now, how do you come by a building plan? So usually when you have an idea or you want to have a building constructed, so one of the things you need to have done is already have taken care of the surveys and the rest of the land is prepared. Then you get an architect on board. Now, one thing you need to know is that there are differences between a draftsman and an architect. In Ghana, a lot of people who are draftsmen actually pose themselves as architects who are not actually architects. So an architect will have an extensive knowledge about a lot of things regarding the drawings or the building, as against a draftsman who will basically just be doing the drawings for the building. But unfortunately, a lot of draftsmen will end up be doing the work of architects, so because of sometimes cost. Yeah, but these are things you need to know. There's a difference between a draftsman as well as an architect. An architect would have like a lot of information, a lot of knowledge about how things are supposed to be done regarding the entire project. So you have to, after you have your land prepared and the rest, even before even getting your land prepared, you would have had to consult an architect who would then visit the location. So it's important the architect visits the location, and then he looks at your idea, what you intend to have done, and then look at how it is going to fit on the property where you want to have it. Now, considering a lot of factors, considering the topography of the place, the soil structure, the type of soil, the where the whole location is, and among others, there are a lot of things they actually take into consideration before coming up with a final drawing. So the architect would have had to visit the location to do all these research and the rest, and then come back to start working on the drawings. Now, for the drawings, there's the floor plan. So the floor plan will basically show you what a plan will look like on the ground. Aside the floor plan, there is the foundation plan. So the foundation plan is, one of the most important component or aspect of every building is actually the foundation. So the foundation, depending on the type of building which is going to be constructed, be it a story building or single story or multiple story, the foundation will tell. So the architect would have taken into consideration the foundation, the type of or the size of foundation, the trench, the depth, the width, all those things, the size of columns, the depth of the columns, among others. So that would be taken into consideration. And then aside that, you also have the type of materials to be used, the size of materials as well. Is it that you are using concrete throughout? Is it that, so I have an helicopter passing, I have to pause a bit. I don't know. Anytime I try to make video at home, I just have these helicopters just interrupted. So let's just pause a bit till it passes. Maybe we should have a look at it. Can we see it? So, yeah, that's it. Very tiny. Okay, so it's actually white and blue. I don't know where it's heading towards. Okay, so thank you for rudely interrupting our video. Anyway, so yeah, I even forgot where I was. Anyway, so the architect then will determine the type of materials you should use for the building, the size of material. So if it's concrete throughout, if it's going to be block, if it's bricks, if it's wood, and a whole lot. All these things, once the architect takes a visit to the site, to be able to determine all these information, and all these information are going to be put in the drawings. Then, aside from the type of material, the size of materials, you also have the way the building is supposed to look. So the front view, the side view, that's the left and right side view, the back view, and even the top view. So the top view basically will be the roof. So the type of roof you intend to have, the way the roof is supposed to slope, all these things. So all these information are actually contained in the building plan. That is a very good building plan. So you can have a building plan which may tend to be terrible, and you can have a building plan which will be very detailed and very good and easier to follow. And you see, having a building plan has a lot of advantages on a project. Yes, so we'll talk about some few of the advantages. But as part of the features of the building plan, as some of the things I've mentioned, the foundation plan, the floor plan, you also have the roof plan, the views, the side views, left and right, the front view, the top view, and all that. And then you also have the structural drawings. So the structural drawing is very important. That is actually sort of like the skeleton of the entire building, how the building is supposed to be formed and all that. So you need to have the structural drawings, and then aside the structural drawings, you have the mechanical drawings, the electrical as well as the plumbing. So mechanical is looking at where maybe air conditioners are supposed to be fixed. You also have the plumbing where you have your the pipes, the service lines, the waste lines. You also have the electrical wiring. So I'll dive a little bit details about some of these part of the building plan, so you understand what role they actually play in the building plan. And aside these plans, you also have maybe the fence, the type of fence, the height, the size, and all that, the type of sewer system you need to have, whether it's a biodigester, whether it's a septic tank system, the number of chambers and all that. So all these information are actually contained in a very good detailed building plan. And you may ask, what does these, or what would the building plan actually do for your project? So before I tackle that, let me talk a bit or briefly about some of these plans I spoke about. So just as I said, the foundation plan will give you an idea about the way the foundation is supposed to be dug, or the way it's supposed to be built, the depth it's supposed to be dug at. And then aside from that, the size of materials that is supposed to be used for that. So the size of steel, the type of cement that is supposed to be used, the ratio of mixture, all these things are supposed to be stated in there. Aside from that also, you have the side view, the view. So the height of the building from the floor to maybe window level, the height of the window, and then from floor to ceiling, you have all these information stated, the number of windows that is supposed to be on the building, the size of the windows, and all that. And then you also have the roofing plans, whether it's a slab roof, whether it's a hip roof, whether it's a skillion roof, or any type of roof at all. And then if it's any roof that employs the use of trusses, you have the size of rafters, the intervals between the rafters, the purlins, noggins, all that. All these information will be stated in the building plan. And even the roofing material, the thickness of it and all that will be stated in the building plan. And then you also would look at the mechanical aspect. So for instance, if you're supposed to have air conditioners in the building, or even heating in the building, it is going to state where all those pipes or all those lines are supposed to be, the size of air conditioners you need based on the space or the area where it is supposed to cool or even heating. So specify the size of air conditioners that you need, or even heating, as well as you also look at the electrical aspect. So the electrical will state the size of wires that you are supposed to have. You done the wiring work for, or the electrical work for the house, the intervals in which you are supposed to maybe bring breakers, all that. So the electrical aspect will take care of that. And then you have the plumbing aspect. So the plumbing will tell you the flow rate, or the size of pipes you're supposed to use, the type of pipes, being a class A, class B, class O. It will state all that. So you see, once you take a very detailed, a very good building plan, it should give you, even you the layman, an idea of how the building is supposed to be. Of course, you the layman may not be able to understand so many things about the building. That's why you have to employ professionals to be able to execute whatever is stated on the building plan for you. So aside the type of pipe for the plumbing, the size of pipe, you also have the sewer system, being it a septic tank, a biodigester, you need to have a manhole, like all that. And all those will be stated. And all these things are not just forged, because the architect has been to the location, derived or gotten all information that he will need for the plan, and work on the plan to provide all this information. So he doing the plan, he knows this place is rocky, so then this is the depth you have to go for the foundation. He knows this place is waterlogged, so this is how you have to go about the foundation. He knows that this place, there's a type of soil that exists in here, maybe it's salty and the rest, or you need to use the DPM, DPC. All this information the architect would have to visit. And you see, the architect doesn't work in isolation. He works with a group of people, different team members. So you have a structural engineer, you have a mechanical engineer, plumber, a plumbing engineer, all that. The architect will have these people on his team. So it won't be just one person sitting down doing everything. No, it doesn't work that way, because each and everything that I've mentioned will have to be very detailed. So the architect has all these people on his team. That is how come most of the time it is better expensive using an actual architect as against using a draftsman. So I feel at least you know this. And these people will work on the specific drawings that is in relation to their field, and will be doing the necessary calculations. So the electrical engineer will be able to calculate the total load that is going to be in the house. That will help him determine the size of cables or wires he's supposed to use, and even how long they're supposed to be. The plumbing engineer or the plumber is also going to do the same thing. Is going to be able to determine the number of washrooms, the number of vents that is needed for the waste, the intervals where he's supposed to bring in rod and eye, or yes, all that's there. plumber would have taken all these things into consideration, or the engineer would have taken all these things into consideration before working on that. So you, whoever is going to be executing it, you the civil engineer or whoever, will just be looking at it, because even with where the pipes are supposed to be on the walls, they've stated it. So you know where you're cutting, you know where you're putting your pipes, you know what depth at which the pipe is supposed to go. If you're plastering, you know the thickness of the mortar. You see, so all these information is actually contained, or supposed to be contained, in the building plan to make it easier to execute the project. Now you might ask, okay, so yes, I know all these information are contained in the building plan. So what does it then do to me, or how does it help me as a customer or client? Because of course I'm not the one going to be building. So yes, so some of the benefits or advantages you have when using a building plan is that it helps you to plan and have the project executed well. So as part of planning, once you have the architectural drawings done, you can actually forward it to a quantity surveyor who is going to either do the material schedule or bill of quantity for you by generating a bill of what it's likely to cost to complete the entire project or certain phase of the project. So without you even starting a project, you would have gotten an idea of what you're likely to spend for a certain phase or the entire project, and that will help you to plan your finances. So then you're not greeted by surprises where today they are told, okay, you need this, tomorrow you come and you're told you need this and that. Of course, you also have to take into consideration that prices of materials keeps changing in the times that you find yourself. Yes, so that's just by the way. Now, aside of it helping you to plan, also helping you to budget for the project, it serves as a guide to eliminate or prevent mistakes. You don't want a situation whereby the mason says, oh, it has to be done this way, or when it's done this way, it's not anything. No, you don't want that. That is why you have the building plan serving as a guide, unless of course there's a challenge. Now, having a building plan or having an architect do a building plan for you, it's not a one-time thing. The architect has to be part of the project from the start to the completion of the project. So he visits the site frequently, see whatever has been going on, sometimes show what and what will have to be done. And in a situation where there are challenges, then he looks at those challenges. Then he goes back to the drawing to amend or make some changes to the plan. And that plan becomes a working drawing. So you see why it's a bit expensive having an architect, because they have to be part of the project from start to finish. And it is important, and this is very important depending on the type of project you're having. If it is a high-rise building, yes, it is very important to stick to this, because you wouldn't want any situation where you have mistakes or challenges or problems with the building, because that is a lot of money you're going to spend, and that is also going to, if there's anything that is going to go wrong, it is going to affect people's lives, so safety and all that. So the architect is basically part of the project from start to finish. So he visits the sites. Once they encounter any challenges, they go back to the drawing book and then make some amendments. Then that becomes a working drawing that you'll be working with. Now, aside of it helping, eliminate mistakes from the project, it also helps you to know what you can use within the building, especially, let's say, the electrical appliances, depending on the load that is calculated and the rest. Or if you make known to the architect what you intend to use, they would have to make provision for all that. So you know that, okay, you can't go and bring maybe, let's say, a high pressure not washing machine, but maybe a high pressure washer that you probably use to wash your car, which probably is meant for commercial use, not necessarily for residential use. So because that wouldn't have been factored into it. So you would actually be guided on what you can do with the building, to what extent you can do with the building, and all that when you have a building plan. But imagine you don't have a building plan. You're just basically just going, following the wind. Wherever the wind blows, that's where you'd be going, and eventually you might have things not go the way you intend to have it done. I'm saying this because there's been instances where people have started projects, they did have building plans, but decided to make some changes, and now the building is far off what the original plan was. Yes, no one is saying you can't have changes done to your project. You can. However, you need to have it follow a certain pattern, or it needs to be in line with whatever the drawings is, or you need to have the architect amend the drawings to reflect whatever the changes are. I'm saying this because recently I was called to a project where it's been done to a certain point, and the owner was looking at recontinuing. I was actually willing to take up or continue the project, but I had some concerns, and as part of the concerns was there were certain beams that I couldn't tell what size of steel they were used. Looking at the length of the beam, I couldn't tell what size of steel, and I didn't want a situation whereby I would go continue the work and then eventually there's a problem and I am actually the cause of the problem, whereas I wasn't the one who started the building. So in order to avoid or prevent all that, I had to actually back away from the project, in as much as I had wanted to be part of the project. But because of some of these challenges, and this is as a result of sometimes moving away from what the building plan may say and not having the architect make those amendments, or even the draftsman making those amendments and the rest. So yes, if you have a building plan for your project, try as much as possible to stick to it. And if you're having changes done, try to get the architect or the draftsman to make those changes so that reflect whatever the plan is. Now also, you having a building plan will make it easier to be able to obtain a building permit. Yes, every building or any form of construction at all in Ghana requires that you have a permit for it. And there are reasons why you need a permit, because sometimes certain people wouldn't want to obtain permit for their project because maybe think it's a time-consuming part, it's expensive and the rest. But sometimes if you take the pain to go through that and you obtain a permit, or you even through the process, you might know that whatever you intend to construct, wherever it is, may not be appropriate. An example is recently when we're having the Amasaman Road constructed, you notice that a lot of people's buildings were broken or were pulled down. The reason was because they have built in the roadway and the rest. So through the permit process, you probably will know that, oh, okay, this is actually a road, so you can't build here, or you can't have this type of building here, you can't have a factory here. All this information is going to be communicated to you by either the district assembly or the municipal assembly, who is responsible for whatever location you are in. So you don't have a building plan, you can't of course get a permit, unless of course maybe it is forged for you. And being able to obtain a building permit, aside the drawings or your building plans that you submit, some places you have to submit a search report on the land, the location, or the land itself, to validate that you or whoever sold the land to you is actually the rightful owner. You also will have to submit your land document, I think a photocopy of your land document, and then some other information to be able to have the permit process begun. Now the prices usually will vary depending on location to location. So yeah, and also will depend on the size or the type of building you intend to construct. So if you don't have a building plan, of course you won't be able to get a building permit, but if you have a building plan, you'll be able to obtain a building permit. And the building permit the building plan basically undergoes like scrutiny by the engineers in the assembly. So if there's anything that is wrong, they probably will point it out to you, and you can easily have it corrected or fixed or amended before you even embark on the project. So you see that these are some of the advantages you derive when you have a building permit for a project. But if you don't have any, you're just going as the wind suggests, and that is not going to be the best. I think I've said enough or a lot about having a building plan for your project. So try as much as possible to indulge the services of professional architects, depending on the scope or the size of your project, so that you eliminate mistakes as possible as you can for the project, so that you have things going smoothly. Of course, it might cost you a bit, but spending money once and spending it well is far better than spending it maybe less and coming back to spend again, which will eventually cost you more than what you would have spent earlier on. So these are some few information I had sharing regarding building plans, that it contains information about whatever project you intend to embark on. So the name of the client, the architect that worked on the plan, the location of the site, the unit of measurement, the scale. It also contains different plans, so the floor plans, the foundation plan, the side views, that's left, right side, the top view. It also will contain the roofing plan, the type of roof that is supposed to be used. It would contain the mechanical drawings, the electrical drawings, the plumbing drawings. It also will contain maybe the fence wall, the gate. Also contain the block plan. So the block plan will determine the orientation at which the building is supposed to be positioned, and this will be taken into consideration the way the wind blows, and that would, like I said, the architect will determine all these things. That will help him determine where windows are supposed to be, among others. So that will be just about it for this video. In case there are some advantages you think I left out in this video, you can just share them in the comment section so we get to learn. And if you have some experiences sharing whether having a building plan or not having a building plan on your project, kindly leave them in the comment section so we all get to learn from it. So that will be just about it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.